Welcome back, Mr. Goodberry. The First Star Logistics studio is fully equipped and ready to record.
Hello, everyone. This is episode 111 of Bengals On The Brain, presented by First Star Logistics. I'm your host, Joe Goodberry. Today's episode, let's recap the Bengals' defeat in Chicago, dropping to 0-2 in this preseason. Does that matter? Who knows? Some people like to make a big deal out of it, maybe correlate it to early season woes that they've had the past few years under Zack Taylor. To me, when your third string offense is going against first string Bears defense, you don't expect it to look good. And when you only score 3 points all day, well, that's bad. And the offense didn't look as good as we would like. And, well, I've got thoughts on that. But where we're going to focus our film review today, because we're only going to get one episode because they played their final preseason game on Thursday. So Friday's episode will be more of a recap on what we saw on that day. But this episode will focus on what went right in Chicago. And with last week, we looked at the opening drive of the Bengals starting offense that culminated in a touchdown from Joe Burrow to T. Higgins and how good that ended up looking. We're going to focus on what the defense did well and how that first team defense, I guess it wasn't even first team, but the guys that the Bengals rolled out there, I would say second team defense, held down Caleb Williams and the Bears starters for at least 3 drives until things started to pick up for them. But let's see what that looked like. Let's see the young guys. Let's see the young players, especially the rookies that are making a name for themselves, whether it's, hey, I'm going to have a role this year, or it's, I'm going to make the team as an undrafted free agent. Let's dive in. Very early third down, the first third down of the game, we got Josh Newton in the slot, the rookie out of TCU that has impressed the coaches and the staff. Has had a good preseason, I would say. He had the interception week 1. He had a couple really good plays here and a couple bad plays as well. We're not going to highlight all the bad plays because it's not a Josh Newton evaluation today. But the first play that jumped out for the team defense was Newton with DJ Turner out here, Dax Hill out here. And you'll see Dax is going to cover his route really well as well. But we're focused on Newton. And why I want to focus on him is because he is going to get the same exact situation where he got the interception last week. And this is Keenan Allen in the slot, who's going to lean it inside because he doesn't want to let you know where he's running, which is he's running a corner route here. And watch Newton run it with him and even for him, right? Look at him get underneath. He's in position to intercept this. If you want to throw this again, go ahead. Just like last week, he's going to pick this off. And then this is why you're going to see Keenan Allen. If you wondered, if you remember this play, it's intentional grounding. Allen stops because he figures I'm beat to the outside. I can't keep running this route. It would do me no good. And he stops it and ends up being intentional grounding on third down. But Josh Newton, what a play there. Hey, look at that at nose tackle. That is Chris Jenkins this week with J2 Fele back. And this is good team defense. When you can lock out in two gap means I'm going to take on this guard here and I'm going to look both ways, basically. I've got both sides I'm responsible for both sides as a defensive lineman. And I need to locate and get eyes on the running back. And I think that's where Chris Jenkins is good, is when he can do this. As a penetrator, I never thought he was good at that. As a two-gapper, he can do that. And in fact, the entire defensive line is winning. Zack Carter's taking on a double team. J2 Fele's locking his guy out. Miles Murphy's locking his guy out. Joseph Osai's causing chaos over here. The entire team defense, and it'll be a theme today, did their jobs. And now Chris Jenkins here in the middle. Let's focus back on him. Watch him dance with the running back, right? You get that running back to dance like that, you've done your job as the nose tackle, and he gets in to help make the tackle. But you'll see the effect it has on the defense when the nose tackle does his job well. And all the defensive tackles, when they do their job well. Looking at the linebackers, they're free and clear. And watch how the running back dances and how, okay, now do you want to come and get them? Now the lineman want to come and block, or the fullback wants to block? Easy. Too much space. Linebackers clean it up. No gain for the offense. That's exactly what you're looking for. When we're looking for, like, who's going to be the nose tackler, who's going to step up on the defensive line. Next play, again, another nice run defense play by the entire unit. And it's going to start with Joseph Osai on the edge and then Tyson Anderson. So there's Osai beating the tight end inside. He should be able to. and we're pulling the offensive lineman the other way. I also want to point out Chris Jenkins locking his guy out and peeking. So a penetrator would be a guy that just tries to shoot upfield. A two-gapper would be somebody that is comfortable taking someone on head on, or at least offset in his technique, and then locking them out and trying to make a play on the ball that way. So you got Joseph Ossai beating his guy inside, right? Taking away that angle for the running back there if he wants to follow the guard. And then you got Tyson Anderson. Welcome back, Tyson Anderson. Blitzing on the outside and containing the outside edge, not shooting too hard inside, which takes away the running back's outside path. So it only really leaves him with a path in between the two guys that we mentioned that are penetrating. And there's the rookie out of Nebraska, Njongmeta. Njongmeta. I'm going to try and keep it consistent. Njongmeta. And he had a fantastic week 1 game. We didn't get to highlight him. This week, too, much different, up and down, and you get to see what his skills, strengths, and weaknesses are. Why I think he's a good player. He's very good coming downhill against the run. Bam, lays the hit stick on him. Let's flip the camera and just watch Njongmeta completely here. Number 45, the rookie vying for a roster spot on the Bengals. Watch him flow downhill. Read, react, fill, bang. That is really good. That is really, really good. All right, eyes back on the defensive line. Zack Carter. We don't get too many plays to highlight Zack Carter. And then we get Tevin Jenkins tripping here. And a lot of people said, well, I had some people saying to me, hey, good play by Carter. He got a penetration or a win. You could say that. I want to focus on Josh Newton really quickly. So let's go back here. Josh Newton on this. I highlighted this on Twitter. A lot of people did. This against DJ Moore in press single man coverage. Oh, what a great play on the ball. He gets his arm around to knock it away, as you can see right there. Let's flip back and go to Zack Carter. Why doesn't Zack Carter win more often? Why are we perpetually waiting for more out of Zack Carter? It's because his moves almost never land. A low win rate in terms of his moves. He's going with a two-hand swipe. He hits nothing there. But then you get to this point right here where the guard is completely off balance because he trips over his left tackle a little bit. And here's where you're like, all right, Carter's at least an athlete. Can he stop, start, and cut back inside? He can, for the most part. He can't stay on his feet. But those are the flashes we're left with. Back on Njongmeta, as we got to reverse here. And we got to reverse to Rome Odunze, right? Rome's going to come all the way around this way. And you see Meta's already on it. He sees it. Of the guys that are reacting, Joe Bacci, who also had a great game, is reacting. Maybe the safety can see what's going on. But Njongmeta's going for it. And he sees it all the way, which is good. And a good sign for his upside as a guy who can read and react and flow with the play. Downside here, let's run full real quick. Downside here is he's a 4.9 athlete. He's a 19th percentile RAS score type athlete, and you have to take better angles. You can't take a poor angle, and we'll see it on this side very well. You don't get the wiggle room. When you're a great athlete, you can go straight for this guy. When you're not, you better cut it towards the sideline and help out your defense by making that wide receiver flow back towards your help. And it doesn't happen there. And that's something we got to watch for because there's going to be another play coming up too where he takes a poor angle and it bites the team. So this next play here is good team defense. I circled Alan George down here because I want you to watch as they run the fake screen. So the wide receiver comes screen here, right? And these guys should go up and block like this. This guy should make the tackle. Everything's clear. But when you don't do that, and instead these guys run vertically, remember the Bengals scored a touchdown on this versus the 49ers. I think it was Jamar Chase. The defense has to be able to play both the screen and the fake screen. So here we are. We got both guys going vertical. And the Bengals cover it pretty well. The only guy that maybe would have been open here is he starts looking inside is that slot receiver. Dijon Anthony here has the angle going this way. We end up with another vertical on the other end. And I don't think Caleb Williams is looking that way at all. He's definitely looking to the right. If he pulls the trigger here, he could fit it in between Dijon Anthony and that slot safe or that slot receiver. Maybe. We'll have to see. We don't know. But the pressure gets home. And that's why the team defense needs to work as a whole. This is Chris Jenkins again, our third time highlighting him. And he's going to get the sack here on a spin move. And what's nice about this is when we did Chris Jenkins' film review, one of the first film reviews we did during the draft season, he won on a spin move a few times when we were watching him. But I specifically remember the Washington game, the championship game, playoff game for sure. I think it was championship. Either way, He's good with a spin move because I think he understands how to make linemen, offensive linemen, overextend and lunge a little bit here. And this is almost a second phase play here. They lock up, throw their hands down, and then he gets outside, forcing the lineman to sit back a little bit, and then he ends up lunging as Jenkins quickly transitions to the upfield rush here. And you want to show this upfield rush. You want this foot to be landing. So when this foot comes down, all his weight is going to be coming down this way, right? The lineman's weight. And when that happens and you're overextended like this, well, then Jenkins is just going to hit him with the whoop. I mean, perfect timing. Get inside and finish the play on a quarterback that is sometimes hard to get your hand on, as we saw throughout the rest of this game. So, Chris Jenkins, great job. We're highlighting you quite a few times. Nice bounce back game from week one. Maybe you can contribute in your rookie year. Njongmeta, 45, eyes back on him. We got a screen pass to the left. Timing is correct with the offense, and it is blown up by the rookie linebacker. And why? Let's watch him. Watch him flow to the play. We got two linemen out there. Watch him dip. He is tough to get a hand on for linemen. And we're going to see that a couple more times. When he reads and reacts and flows to the ball downhill, he does a great job keeping his eyes on the running back and on the ball, and doesn't let the traffic from the linemen get to him, and doesn't let them get a hand on him. People have asked, can Jay Tufele, if he recovers and gets back out there this week, and then week 3 in preseason, can he beat out Zack Carter? And I say, yes, he can, but he can't if he has inconsistent plays like this, taking on the double team, getting blown off the ball, and then absolutely getting pancaked at the end of the play. That's not going to do it. We're back on Njongmeta, 45. And when you fire your gun, you better not miss, because when you do, and you're the backside contained linebacker and the cutback is wide open there, it's not great for you. So you'll see it here. And here he is avoiding contact in the second level again. The center could just go up and get him, but instead he's going to undercut it and make that decision to undercut it. And when he does, you better hit. You better make contact with that running back. Better slow him down at least a little bit. And that was a big whiff by the rookie linebacker. Cedric Johnson, though, I think has flashed quite a bit as a rookie 6th round pick out of Ole Miss. We got a lot of rookie focus today, as we're trying to figure out if these guys are going to make the team or not. But I like his little hesitation to it, and then dip inside, and then you're right on Caleb Williams. And you know why this is important? This kills the play, because as I don't know who this is. Might be the tight end. As he comes across, Njongmeta doesn't pick him up and jump into the zone. The safety goes this way before he wraps around and goes with the tight end. But this receiver is going to be wide open. But Caleb Williams can't sit in the pocket. He's got to evade and make a play and then throw off balance. So this pressure by Cedric Johnson forces the Bears to miss this nice chunk play that could have potentially turned into more and let it go full speed here. Watch as the pressure just gets to Caleb Williams, who resets and gets there. Should have reset his feet completely because he ends up with an errant throw on it. But that player was wide open. 14 was wide open. So good rush by Johnson, dipping inside, having enough power to fight through two guys. I'd like him to stay on his feet, but I'll take incremental flashes from a 6th round, day 3 type guy. Next play, though, we get a jump set by the offensive lineman. Watch how he jumped on him so quickly that Johnson doesn't get a chance to get a move off, but he's still powerful enough to fight through and at least get close to the quarterback. But yeah, I think jump sets are something that he'll see more often in the NFL than he did in college. And that was probably a bit of a shock to him. I don't think he saw it too much in college. Eyes back on Njongmeta. And now he had a 29 PFF grade. And people saw the tackles and the hits, and they're like, oh, how did he score 29? Lowest, one of the lowest on the team. Well, it's plays like this. You got to trust your defense, trust your team to do what you got to do. You're covering that guy in the back of the end zone as Caleb Williams tries to roll out. And now Caleb Williams is going to dance and do his thing and start heading towards the line of scrimmage. And when he does, I think Njongmeta thinks he's running. You can't leave your guy. You can't vacate your responsibility to come and run up. And that should have been a touchdown. So when like PFF looks at that, they say you didn't do your job. You allowed that guy to get open for a potential touchdown. Now, next play here, we're still in the low red zone situation here inside the 10. We're going to blitz Njongmeta off one side. We're going to blitz Jalen Davis, who I also thought had a good game in the slot. We're going to blitz them, but it's going to be Shaka Hayward, 50, second-year guy out of Duke, that blitzes. Watch the chaos he creates as he runs into his own guys there. Bowling ball, man. He had a good day. He had a really good day. And he and Njongmeta are fighting for that last linebacker spot, I think. And he causes the pressure, causes the overthrow. And eyes back on Njongmeta again here as he's in pass coverage. Again, another negative for him as he's running around searching for somebody to cover. Who do I take? Who do I take? Oh, the quarterback's running on the other side of the field and goes in for the easy score and touchdown. The end zone angle will show exactly what I'm talking about here. He and Shaka are talking and communicating. The tight end's going to hook between the three guys, which is fine. You want to jump that and potentially get in front of that ball? Great. Now, how about the other guy? Jump back in front of that one? Fine. But as Caleb Williams breaks this way, Njongmeta takes his eyes off the quarterback and just starts to run with somebody. He just chooses here. I'm out of here. Not against this quarterback. You got to keep your eyes on him. You got to keep your head about you and understand what's going on and not completely vacate that portion of the field. Now, it's not just Njongmeta either. I want to be sure on that. So let me go back. The DNs and everyone's got to play contain. Those guys ended up getting washed around and kicked to the ground. And any super extended play, chaos ensues and anything can happen. So it's not a huge negative on him, but I bet that hurt his score from PFF. All right, Njongmeta, let's redeem ourselves a little bit here. Yeah. See, when he flows downhill, man, he looks good. Other side of this play here now. They want him to flow this way. When you look at it, all the linemen blocking this way, right? We're going to get blocking this way, this way, this way, this way, this way. But we're going to bring the tight end back around to get Cedric Johnson on the end spot. So they want Njongmeta to flow with this play. And when they do, it'll be the left tackle that'll come up and wash him out, allowing the running back to cut back in between the tight end and the blocks here and cut it upfield for a nice big gain. So watch Njongmeta dip under that. He reads it quicker than the play is developing, attacks downfield, fires his gun, dips under the lineman, and makes a play. Now, again, we're in pass coverage. And we get a big completion over the middle of the field. Watch Njongmeta a little bit here and watch how he struggles a little bit in coverage. As we got play action, he's getting sucked up. Watch Shaka Hayward on the other side. Doesn't get sucked up. The quarterback's looking left, so he comes back left. Looking middle, so he starts drifting back. Now he doesn't have the depth. Look at Shaka Hayward's depth. Doesn't have the depth. And now when the throw's coming directly at you as the guy's hooking behind you, you've got to feel these things and not just run and guess. Are you guessing or are you playing the ball there? So coverage is still an issue for Njongmeta, despite being very, very good as a downhill linebacker. And here he goes again. You want to run it up the middle on him? Feel free. This guy is sniffing it out. And he's not the biggest guy. I think he listed at 229, 5'11 and some change. So watch him skip through each hole here. Go outside, inside, B gap, fire, A gap, that is. Yeah, that is. And make a play at the line of scrimmage. Nice play by Njongmeta again here. Come in and stuff them. Sometimes you got to take on these linemen and just stop the bleeding, right? Get in there, fill it. Shaka Hayward's going to do the same thing. Split between them. Make a tackle. Again, low red zone. Run defense. Looking good by the two linebackers. This defense had a great day and a great showing. I think Lou Anarumo's very happy with the way everything played out on his team on Saturday because the offense should have had some drives. So, and if they would have, things may have looked a little differently. Maybe the points, maybe the score would have been a little bit different. So a lot of good defensive things to talk about from that game, and seeing Chris Jenkins play much better is nice. I mean, he's going to have to play a role. I wish we had McKinley Jackson out there to really know what his level was because I think when you look at the defense, I think we say, what's the weakest position on the field? It's probably defensive tackle when we're talking about the depth. Maybe the depth of the entire defensive line after losing Cam Sample, Jeffrey Gunter retiring, even though we didn't know if he'd make the roster or not. But I think they're relying on Zack Carter still, and we haven't seen enough of a jump or a leap in his development. Maybe a step, maybe he won't be as terrible, but is that what you want, if he's the third defensive tackle? So Chris Jenkins looking good last week against the starters for the Bears. Big win for the Bengals there. would like to see it with Jackson. I'm really excited about the linebacker depth. I mentioned Joe Bacci having a good game, Shaka Hayward, Akeem Davis-Gaither, and then Njongmeta. Who's going to make the roster? You usually keep 5 at linebacker, so it's going to be a tough cut there. And one of the guys will probably end up on the practice squad if not. Out of Hayward and Njongmeta. So we'll have to see how that goes. But Josh Newton, I think, is the interesting one. He has done everything that the coaching staff has wanted him to do. He has continued to flash and impress. And I think while DJ Turner and Dax Hill have held him off from fighting for the number 2 cornerback job, I don't think it's a huge gap. And I believe that the coaches see him as a guy that can potentially future be a starter for them. And maybe even in the slot, which is interesting because Dax hasn't gotten any run in the slot, basically been a boundary corner, and now Newton's playing inside, which I think works for him. Because the player evaluation side, if you go back to our tape review of Josh Newton, I didn't like his deep ball skills and deep speed. And I think that showed up a couple times in the Bears game as well. While he was good underneath and everything in front of him, keep him in the slot. That's how you do it. And they say he's got it here and here. So, I want that in the slot as well. So maybe Josh Newton is the eventual Mike Hilton replacement. And then getting Tyson Anderson back on defense is big because instantly I thought he looked good and was playing above Dijon Anthony, who has a role with the first team offense or first team defense, which is interesting. We'll have to see how that flourishes and what that turns into. I wanted to say, how that blossoms and what that turns into. Because it's more of like the Trey Flowers role, maybe. I'm not really, I don't got to, if they're taking Mike Hilton off the field, you'll see it a couple times. They showed it each game so far. And I'm like, okay, we got to figure out what's going on here. Is Josh Newton replacing Mike Hilton on third downs? Is Dijon Anthony just the Trey Flowers role? I think both guys have a role, though, and that's interesting for day 3 picks, especially Cedric Johnson probably also making this roster as day 3. We're probably talking about 9 rookies making it if Ryan Rico at punter makes it as well. To the offensive side, though, there was nothing to write home about because I don't think they have the talent at running back. And I don't think they have the talent at wide receiver when Jermaine Burton is only getting 1 target, right? The other guys, the receivers 8 through 11, don't do anything for me. While Lassiter and Pryor are fine players, it's the reason they're probably practice squad, preseason contributing players, and that's as far as it'll go for them. Meanwhile, at tight end, I think Tanner McLaughlin has flashed enough, even though his routes and catches have been simple. I think he's been a willing and decent blocker, moving a little bit more athletically than I expected him to. He's fighting for that roster spot, and I think he's got a pretty good shot considering you have his control for 4 cheap rookie year salaries. So, if it's a Tanner Hudson or Tanner McLaughlin, you got one on a 1-year deal, you got one on a 4-year deal. And we're talking about being tight end 4 or 5. I think it could come down to the development curve of Tanner McLaughlin, keeping him under control for 4 years. But on the offensive line, I thought Matt Lee had, again, another solid performance. And everything we saw, so I'm not going to go too deep in what his strengths and weaknesses are because we've done that. And if you weren't there, the episodes are available. You can still go back and watch and see what Matt Lee did at Miami. And I think it's still applicable completely. And he's showing that. And I think that's great because I was such a big fan of him coming out of Miami that for him to play this well through 2 games makes me feel great that they might have nailed both their offensive lineman picks with Mims and Matt Lee. I did think Jackson Kirkland on the left tackle spot showed and is at least now fighting for a roster spot. Jackson Carman barely played, which shows where he's at, and he has fallen completely out of favor at this point. And then Cody Ford, a lot of people don't like Cody Ford, but I think he can play all 4 positions other than center and not get absolutely killed. Like, he was a liability, but not getting murdered by Sweat in the first team defensive line by the Bears. So, that's all you can really expect from that, especially because I don't know who the backup guard is. Is it Kirkland? Is it Ford? Is it somebody not on the roster right now? Can you kick Trent Brown in there? Can you put someone else in there? Can you put Matt Lee at center and Ted Karras at guard if one of your starting guards go down? I'm not sure. But I think we could be looking at a waiver claim at running back, at guard on the offensive side. And on the defensive side, I'm not sure we have one anymore. I was thinking defensive tackle, but now not too sure. We'll have to see how McKinley Jackson goes, but keep an eye on punter as well. We don't know if either guy is the right guy. Robin's currently hurt. Rico, inconsistent day in Chicago in the rain. And we got one more game to go, which I expect to be mostly, if not all, backups. Very similar to the Bears game. They have a joint practice with the Colts first, which they use as their controlled environment to not let Joe Burrow get hit, but yet try to run an offense. So that makes sense to me. And then not play any of your starters in the final preseason game. And then we'll be gearing up for week one after that. Roster projections, things of that nature. What games are you going to? What's the fun? And the Bengals released their uniform schedule. They showed the orange pants, which is awesome. That's something I've advocated for a long time. But also something I've been banging the drum slightly the last couple of years because I didn't want to lose it. Only one white Tiger game, white Bengal game, and 2 orange alternate games, being week 1 versus the Patriots, and then I want to say week 7 versus the Steelers, first Steelers game. So 2 orange alternate games this year, which they've been getting down to 1 and having 2 white Tiger games. So it's nice to see the orange back. They've always played great in the orange, and it's an orange out week 1, which I think is going to look absolutely awesome. And I hope you all wear orange, and find orange pants out there somewhere at the pants store. This has been Bengals on the Brain, presented by First Star Logistics. I'm your host, Joe Goodberry. Until next time, until we recap the final preseason game. Huda.
Dave Lapham here, and every day I am grateful for my experience to have played professional football. As a player, I realize self-motivation, leadership, and appreciating your teammates are key. At First Star Logistics, you can use those same attributes to create the life you want for you and your family. Build your future by working hard like I did. You'll see results both on and off the field. Call First Star Logistics today and be part of our winning team.
Opportunity knocking.